Hi, I'm Erin.
And I'm Jay.
And you're listening to episode 74 of the Salty Mother Clutchers podcast. Can you think of a weird or funny or terrifying sound that your motorcycle ever made?
A terrifying sound?
Or weird or funny? Or something? Can you think of a sound your motorcycle made and you were like, oh, that's invigorating?
I can think of so many. Like the time it sounded like a chainsaw, and I thought I described it as loose change floating around in the transmission.
Yeah.
That was just a loose chain. A time that on the Kawasaki 454, the front bolt fell off. The pinch bolt fell off the front wheel.
Yeah.
That was fun. My kickstand fell off doing the tink to ling tink tink.
Yeah.
We mentioned on that on an episode a while back. What other noises?
So like when your let's talk about the kickstand. When your kickstand fell off, you heard like some metal hitting the pavement. You were going like highway speed on like a straightaway.
Yeah.
And you heard the sound, and like, did you like immediately know like that was me, and I probably don't want that to have happened?
I mean, now I think that, but at the time, the way it goes through your brain is like you hear. First of all, you hear.
Yeah.
And then you're like, did I hear something? Did I hear something weird? Like out of all that white noise, did I hear a tink to ling tink tink sound?
Yeah.
And then you question it, like, was it? And then you look around, you're like, oh, my things are still here. My windshield's still on. Like
that
everything.
the sweet move when you like look down, like you're riding and you're just looking down and you're going like really fast and you're just like, I think it's all here and I'm here, so let's go.
And I remember looking in my mirrors and being like, I don't see anything on the road. Bike's still moving forward, so it must be fine.
Yeah.
But I actually looked down at my where my kickstand used to be and was like, fuck. And then looked down even harder. Like, it's like, yeah, 100% my kickstand is not there. Pulled over and it's like, I have no kickstand.
So I can't even I can't even really stop here.
I can't even like park my bike and go look for my kickstand.
Yeah, because you're just on a straight highway.
Stuck on my bike. And like, I couldn't even lean it up against like a pole or a mailbox or something because we're in the middle of fucking nowhere in New Brunswick. And like the poles are on the other side of the ditch too. So it's like, I just was like, fuck.
Gotta
I just kept going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And like,
I drove back. I drove back
look?
around and looked and I was like, I don't see anything. Fuck, what? I don't know if I found anything. What would I do anyway? Like, kick it?
Like, you'd lay your bike down? Like, just lay it down and then pick up your kickstand and then put it in your pocket and then pick your bike back up?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what my plan was, but
I'll tell you one for me. I was on the Confederation Bridge, so also going to New Brunswick. Mm-hmm. And when you're on the bridge, you just keep hitting these like clunk, 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 like cuts in the pavement. And then all of a sudden I heard this like kind of a crunchy sound, like something was crunching in my front. Like I was like, at first I thought I maybe ran something over, or then I was like, I'm hitting all these like clunks, and I was like, did I knock something off? Like, what's this weird sound? And it was kind of like, I guess it was kind of like draggy and like rough sounding. And I was like, okay, this is, I don't know, can't see anything. I'm like doing the look down thing. I'm like, well, here I go. I'm now in another province. Off I go. And like rode for like a couple hours. And like every once in a while I was just hearing this like weird like sound. I could kind of explain it like it sounded like maybe my front fender was kind of dragging down on the tire.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, so I could still ride. It didn't really feel like a resistance, but I felt like that's what the sound was. And I was like, there's gotta be, and I pulled over and I looked and I was like, there's putting my hands like up through my fender. I was like, there's nothing in there. Like it feels like this should be, that's what the sound is. And then I went and I visited my friend and whatever. And then I went to like, okay, bye, time to go home. And I heard the same sound again, but it sounded worse. And so I got a hold of Crashy Tom. Crashy Tom came, took the bike around the block, was like, yeah, dude, I don't hear a thing. I don't. Yeah. And I was like, of course, right?
That's how it happens.
So I like left that house and like you're immediately on the highway. And then it's highway for the next 2 hours home. And my bike made a sound that was like a shrieking banshee. It was like a loud, whiny, whistly, screeching sound. And I remember just like kind of like squatting myself down on my tank a bit and being like, I'm about to die. Here I go. And I just like rode the bike home.
Yeah.
Blew a bearing.
Yeah, that's fun.
blew a bearing. And then rode on the bike for 3-4 hours of highway?
Yeah, that's, I mean, not advisable, but clearly it can be done.
What, you got 2 bearings in there?
Yeah, 2 bearings.
Yeah, so one was
side
good.
Is a little grindy, like
one was bad.
You might have to like
one was nothing.
Trouble steering a little bit, but like big fucking deal.
Essentially, I was going highway, like so it was just like boom, straight line, like. And it was a terrifying sound, though. Once I heard this like this shriek, I was like, "Oh God!" And it wasn't like shriek and then over. It was like, wee.
Yeah,
it sucked.
So like having just put my bike back together, like last fall.
Yeah.
And then the first few rides are always like, "What was that? What was that?
Yeah.
Was that sound always there? Was this ticky sound always that loud? What's this sound like?" Does it sound like there might be an air leak somewhere? Like you're constantly just like assessing the sound of the bike.
Yeah.
And which is, a good thing to know, like to get used to that, to know what those sounds are. However, when you're like super hyper aware, everything sounds like a fucking disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you realize that like Harleys are a fucking disaster. Like they run like garbage on a good day.
Yeah.
So like they're supposed to sound like a broken locomotive. Like, that's just what they sound like.
Yeah.
Like, they're sloppy machines. So, like, they're not exactly your high performance, like, race bike or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, people listen to, like, their fucking sport bikes and shit. Like, with, what are the doctor things called? Stethoscopes?
Oh.
Yeah. And, like, I think one of the tricks is, like, you put a screwdriver to your ear and, like, set it on the engine. And like, yeah, Megan, back me up on this.
I'm like what are you talking about right now?
Yeah, you put like a screwdriver to your ear and you put the other tip like near on the engine so you can hear all the vibrations and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And like, you know what a sport bike sounds like? Like, yeah. Like they're like fine-tuned listening to this high-pitched whining sounds. Like, I don't know, it sounds a little wheezy to you. Does it sound wheezy to you? Like people do this.
Is this like a thing that like an average sport biker does?
You can be very neurotic about it if you choose to be.
Yeah.
So it's Harleys are not like that. But like noises, they can be obsessive, I guess.
Yeah.
So like you can be obsessive about your bike and like overanalyze all the little noises, like, oh, your chain sounds like it's a little too loose or it sounds too tight, or like your brakes sound bad, which is common, right? So there's like a lot of things that I think as a rider you are in tune to, more or less. I think most people are in tune on a like more loosey goosey kind of way, but some people are really, really fucking into listening
to the sounds that their bike's making.
Of the bike and like just I don't know, analyzing them, I guess. That's weird.
I think I'm maybe like hyper aware of the sounds that my bike is making because I'm always just like sort of anticipating my death. So it's like at some point here, like one of these sounds is not going to be right and it's going to take me out. So, I mean, it's grim, but it's true. And I think maybe that could be a thing, like when you think about death a lot, you're just going to be listening to your bike a little bit extra.
The difference, like listening to your engine and the way it sounds, depending on the helmet you have on, and depending on whether you have a windshield on or not,
Right.
the bike sounds completely different. Like on my bike, I ride with a windshield and without, depending on trip situation or whatever. And it's like crazy the difference in like just hearing the sound of the bike.
Yeah.
So like you might be used to the sound of your bike and then like you change helmets and then everything sounds fucking jacked.
Right.
So you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize it sounded like this. I didn't realize it idled so high, or I didn't realize my pipe sounded like this whenever I was decelerating or some shit." It's like you hear it differently, right?
Yep. I did a weird thing yesterday. I was listening to a podcast because we got these sweet new comms. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was listening just for like the last 2 minutes of a podcast after I left work, and then I was just going to be riding home, right? And I was like realizing as I was riding out of town, and I have these people talking in my ear, and I'm not used to hearing anything talking in my ear on a motorcycle for all these years that I've been riding. And I was like, as I was trying to concentrate on the podcast and I'm driving, I'm like, my bike sounds really loud. Something doesn't sound right. And I like pause the podcast, and I'm now like accelerating, hitting like the highway to get out of town. And I'm like, is it loud? Is it louder? Is it being loud? And I think that the reality was I was listening to basically the radio. And then I could kind of hear the sound of the bike as like an afterthought. And that's not how I normally ride.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is my bike being loud? And like pausing the podcast, starting the podcast, pausing it. And I was like, is my bike sounding wrong? Is my bike okay? Like, it's just totally because I fucked around with what sounds I had going on. Anyway, you ride with a windshield and without, and you ride with a full face helmet exclusively,
Pretty much
with like a visor and stuff.
Yeah.
So do you think that your bike, like, what could you say about the sound of riding with a windshield on or off? And do you find a big difference in the noise itself? Like, not maybe the sound of your bike, but like how loud your life is when you're riding with or without a windshield?
I think I assumed, just as most people would assume, you like have a windshield on and you're blocking the wind. Therefore, there's logically less wind noise.
Right.
And like that's just the way people assume because you're feeling less wind. Like there's less wind pressure, there's less whatever. But the more I looked into it and the more it made sense, it's like, because you know about, I forget what we called it on one episode, but it's basically like we call it the vortex.
Yeah.
I guess it's called turbulence.
Oh.
You know? So like
What?
behind your windshield, like the way it hits it and then the wind curls back around. That's we call it the vortex.
Yeah.
It's like this weird
Right.
area where like bugs get stuck and wind goes up your helmet and like all that shit.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it really sucks in the rain too. Because even though you have a windshield and you're still getting hit, you're not getting hit dead on with all this shit.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of floating up in your helmet and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So even though there's like immediate pressure lifted off of like your body for like, and we're talking like an upright position, right?
Yeah.
Not like sport bike stuff. I was kind of shocked to know that decibel wise, you're actually increasing the amount of noise volume by having a windshield.
Right.
And it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but they actually did studies on it. And it's like due to multiple factors. And one of them is that turbulent factor.
The vortex.
The vortex.
You built a vortex.
You built basically a pocket of air and loud noise in this vortex. And further to that point is like you have a helmet that covers your ears And in their example, they cited like it's like putting a cup over your ears. Like it actually can amplify the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And like through reverberation and stuff, you're just bouncing around all this sound in your helmet and in this vortex that would otherwise escape.
Yeah.
So, not even theoretically, like in actuality, when you're riding without a windshield, you're experiencing less volume of noise,
Yeah.
decibel wise, because you're not trapping that sound in your vortex or in your helmet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whizzing by you. It's still fucking loud,
Yeah.
but it's not as loud.
Right.
And there's something in I guess you call it in sound land, audio land, whatever the fuck, called the 3 decibel rule or whatever. Basically, you increase 3 decibels, it's interpreted as twice the loudness or perceived loudness of a sound.
Yeah.
So the difference between having a windshield and no windshield might only be like 6 decibels, but that's like a quarter of the sound as perceived loudness in your ears,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going to get technical.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just mathing that out like a quarter.
Because it's double,
Yeah.
right? Or in that case, it halves.
Yeah.
So for comparison, I looked this up and it's in the province of Ontario through like the work employment board or whatever the fuck it's called there. It's probably similar across the board. There's like a employee standard or whatever that you can't work at 85 decibels or any higher than 85 decibels at a length of 8-hour exposure for safety reasons.
Yeah.
Because any any long exposure to that sound in one period of time is really damaging to your hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a bit of that math using the decibel rule, 3 decibel rule.
Yeah.
You get upwards towards 100 decibels of noise in your helmet, behind your windshield, or without a windshield. You're above 100 decibels usually.
Okay.
So when you're up in that range, if you take that 8-hour exposure at 85 decibels
Yeah.
and increase it up to 100 decibels, you have a safe exposure of about 15 minutes at that level of noise. So that means, by that logic, that in Ontario, if you were to ride a motorcycle for a living,
Yeah.
the safe exposure would be about 15 minutes at highway speeds.
Oh, so like a Harley rider
Yeah.
heading down to Tim Hortons.
Yeah. And like,
And then you got to take an 8-hour break.
yeah. So to put that even into a different perspective, the loud pipe shit, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the loud pipes shit.
So in British Columbia, this is the only stat that I found, but it's probably similar. The noise bylaw for motorcycle exhaust is 91 decibels,
Okay.
which is pretty fucking loud.
That's loud.
That's pretty loud. That's like louder than mowing your lawn, and like it's loud.
That would probably, like, that would accommodate all aftermarket exhaust.
Pretty much.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's loud.
Yeah. But like the safe exposure to that sort of loudness is like about an hour. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm
Yeah.
not mathing it right now.
Right.
Is it right here? It's actually, sorry, it's 2 hours.
Okay.
So it's actually 2 hours at that level. So you can only ride your bike for 2 hours. This is not considering the noise of wind noise.
Right. This is
just
the
you,
motorcycle.
You at the stop sign revving your bike for 2 hours. Like that is the maximum.
Right.
So like that's pretty fucking loud.
Why would you want to do that?
It's fun, I guess. I don't know.
Loud pipes. You were talking about this on another episode. I don't remember what the context was, but we were talking about loud pipes save lives.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, yeah, no, loud pipes do not save lives. And
Yeah.
then you gave this like scientific report, not much unlike what you just did.
Yeah.
About the Doppler effect and how like really like people say loud pipes save lives because ideally people driving in cars are going to hear your motorcycle and they're not going to kill you. But
And it's probably worth repeating because I think this was probably on season 1.
okay, so oh yeah, and the people don't get to listen to that unless they pay for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so basically kind of the argument is the cars are going to hear your motorcycle because your motorcycle's super loud. And that indeed is truly false. And in order for people to even hear your motorcycle, because your pipes are pointing backwards and probably all your trouble is ahead of you.
Yeah.
In order for them to hear your loud pipes, you need to be right next to or just passing that car.
Yeah.
So
And at that point, but it's too late.
it's obsolete. Your pipes are obsolete. Like, it's too late and you, like, it's done nothing. So
Yeah.
there's that.
And on top of that, one of the parts is like the pipes themselves. They want this deep, rumbly sound.
Right.
And because there's such low frequencies, they don't travel as far.
Right.
So like all you're getting ahead of that sound are the highest frequencies.
Right.
So technically, by that logic, you'd want a louder, higher pitched
pitched.
pipe that would go a longer distance. The lower the pipe sound is, the less distance that's going to be, even at a higher decibel level.
So
Fuck that.
So it's not true. Like, loud pipes don't save lives.
No.
You've heard it here more than once.
Yeah.
You can easily go on the internet and you can just read something about science and loud pipes, and you will find this information. Like, the internet is polluted with the fact that that's false.
Yeah. And like, let's be real, dudes. Like, if you were that concerned about saving your life and you did that for a safety thing explicitly, why are you wearing all black? Put on a fucking safety vest. Did you know, as a matter of fact, there's this thing called the speed of light, and it's substantially quicker than the speed of sound. So like, if you want to be safer on the motorcycle, you go with the speed of light.
Yeah.
And use something reflective. Sound ain't gonna cut it, my friend. You can go. You can physically go faster than the speed of sound. You cannot go faster than the speed of light.
Holy shit. We got real scientific on this one.
Well, I mean, it's just like, it's fucking bullshit. We know it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. So
everyone knows it's bullshit.
So there's this whole other element to that too, where if you are if you're a rider and you're on a motorcycle with loud pipes, you're also exposing yourself to that noise continuously.
Yes.
So you can experience something that, the scientists call noise fatigue.
Yep.
And because of that noise and that distraction, essentially, like, you can lose concentration, like lose the ability to concentrate. It also is going to make it harder for you to hear, your bike is braking, which could kill you. Sirens, like all kinds of other things. Cars, like, you might lose the ability to really focus and hear that stuff. So there was some other research that I was looking up, and I didn't research it very well, but they were trying to determine if people with louder pipes are less likely to be involved in accidents or not, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, if anything, like, people with loud pipes tend to be a little bit more in accidents.
Yeah.
And it's probably because of the noise fatigue.
Yeah.
So ironically, your loud pipes that aren't saving your lives are actually putting you at a higher risk.
Yeah.
I personally think that people have loud pipes for attention.
100%.
Not the attention of drivers on the road.
No.
They just want to be noticed.
They want the attention of their bros.
They want attention
validation from the other
bros.
boys around them.
Yeah. Like, you're just literally trying to be a show off.
Yeah.
Douchebag. You're not saving yourself, man.
And that, we've said this on the podcast 8,000 fucking times. That's totally fine.
Totally. Just
say
admit
it.
that that's what it is.
Just say it.
Like,
I like loud pipes because I like the sound of a loud pipe.
It makes me feel.
That's it.
Makes
End
me
of
feel
story.
good. Makes me feel cool.
Yeah. Don't try to flip around some fucking bullshit.
Yeah. We've said that a lot on here. It's like, I can say, like, I have fucking tassels on my handlebars because I think they're fun. They're stupid.
I think they make you look like you go faster. Therefore, it's cooler.
Like, I know they're stupid. Like, I know it's not cool, but I think they're fun. And I'll just say it's my part of my costume.
But you could be like, oh, I put the tassels on there because having the extra leather around the grip gives me a bit more grip on the handlebars. And that therefore it's a little bit safer, actually.
Oh dear. Can we talk about the comms for a sec?
Sure.
I don't know if you had something else to say there, but I was going to say, okay, we've also, we've been doing this podcast for 3.5 years. We've made fun of comms 1,000 times. It's definitely a, it fucking sucks at least once.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And they like totally suck. And then we got them.
Because we are what? Fucking hypocrites.
Super hypocritical bastards. I mean, I guess we could always say like where we might see the value in having them, but
to be honest, I just thought it would be fun.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun.
It'd
so
just be a fun
we
thing.
got to ride together with them maybe twice. And we wanted to have them for Queer Ride coming up in July so that at least we could communicate if we have like a pack of riders and whatever, if we need to.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I noticed that since I've had it, rode with you twice and we were communicating, right? And other than that, I listened to a podcast once and it was like, just fair. So I'll probably only use it for when we're together and probably even specifically only if we're riding in town.
Yeah.
And that's it. So
basically above 60 kilometers an hour, they don't work.
Like we ride really close together. So like, I can't even say like, maybe we're too far apart. It's like, no we're not too far apart. No. I find that, because we've mostly not been riding like at slow speeds in town, the noise, like the racket in my helmet, right in my head is like, it's unbearable.
Yeah.
I can hear like click, clack, whack. Like I can't fucking concentrate.
Click, clack, whack.
Click, clack, whack. And it's just like, in order to hear you, I have the comms turned up to 1,000,000. And then we get onto the highway and I'm like, is this because you have no windshield? I'm not hearing your loud Harley Davidson pipes. I'm hearing click, clack, whack. I'm hearing like, it almost sounds like, I have these, when I wear my like Kevlar hoodie, they have these like little strings on the hood that bop into my helmet and crack into the helmet and make these like loud sounds. It's like that, but like on steroids.
Yeah.
Comms suck. They really suck.
Yeah.
Like they super suck.
I found like our first ride with them this year, like even when they were kind of working, it's like I still have an easier time communicating with you without them than with them.
Yeah.
Like just through like nodding and hand gestures and like things like that. Like, that would have been easier than me trying to use words.
Plus,
because the whole time it's just like, what?
Usually we kind of have a plan. If we're going somewhere, we kind of have a plan, kind of have a route, kind of have a whatever. And like, and if I'm leading, you're just going to follow me.
Yeah, I don't need to
and
talk.
I know you're going to be following me. And if you're not there, then I guess we need to talk.
Yeah.
So I'll go find you.
And like, what do we just like ride down the highway and be like, hey,
yeah, well,
pretty nice day.
I mean, that's not why we have them.
No.
Arguably. And we're still figuring out like some of the functions. Apparently, like, when they're paired, you can also be listening to the same thing. So like if I played a song, technically we're both supposed to be able to hear it, but like we never figured out that part.
Yeah. I don't know.
And like gay, we're not doing that.
You want to do like
we're just on it
sing along,
like the biggest date of all time. We're like, okay, what album do you want to listen to? Yeah. Okay, and we're gonna listen to this song together. But no,
we'll just have to do it manually. Like, okay, you hit play now. I'll hit play on mine.
Right, but fuck, if that function worked, that'd be pretty handy when you're fucking lost in New York.
Yeah, I think that's why we were looking into it, is for directions
on like more major road trips and and not even giving a fuck about them here. But, you know, if they worked and they were handy to have for like meetups and stuff, then that would be great. But, you know, for managing a lot of bikes, but whatever. Like we lived, how many years have we been riding? Like 15 years or something? Like we never needed them before. We still don't need them.
No.
And we still believe they suck. And for me, the noise is like super problematic.
Actually, here's a funny thing. The other day I was riding and I heard a noise that I wasn't used to. And it was like a bunk, 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 bunk.
Yeah.
And it was the comm fell off my helmet and was dangling by the wire, banging into my head.
Oh my God.
That sound was cool.
Did you pull over? Like, how can you even fix that?
I just unplugged it and stuck it in my pocket.
Nice. So you know what fucking sucks?
What fucking sucks?
Those helmet Muppet heads.
Yes.
I don't know. 2023. Are there more Muppet heads around or what?
Are they all just animal?
I don't fucking
know. Or
know.
are they just like...
They're all fucking stupid.
Are they Jim Henson ones? Or are they just... They're just like... I know the ones you mean.
They're literally like a fun for fucking Muppet head.
Yeah. But it's so cool. It's like the ones that are like full like skeleton shit.
I don't know why I've been seeing more of them. Not in real life, but locally and like online locally.
Yeah.
People are like posting them and people are sending me photos of them. And I'm like, dude, you know, I think this is uncool.
Yeah.
They're not riders. But like, you know me, you know that I am just cringing to death over that. I cannot look.
Yeah. Well, it's like people have those like usually sport bikes have like that pink mohawk or some shit on their helmets or like spikes or like Viking horns or some shit.
Yeah, all that stuff sucks.
Like,
but I think the Muppet heads are like next level.
They're next level for sure. They're up there.
But are they more visible?
I mean, I guess, but I think they're just confusing for people to look at. So I don't think they're doing themselves any favors.
So someone I know posted one on their like a hard post on their Instagram of like they were behind one.
Yeah.
And so it was like this giant fucking Muppet head. And then the person was wearing an oversized unzipped leather jacket. They were on a cruiser.
Yeah.
Blue jeans and like running shoes. And I was like, none of this makes sense to me at all. Like, first of all, I mean, I guess they're not just reserved for sports bikes.
Yeah.
I think I thought they were, but I guess they're not. They're reserved for fucking idiots.
Yeah. It reminds me of a couple things. First of all, I'm going to say the word again, Larper. So it's like these dorks that think, you know, I have this character in this like manga that I like. And like, I just think it would be so cool if I could just be a cartoon like this thing. And then they're like, here I am. Look, I did a huge human version of the cartoon. This is me.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like them putting this shit on while they ride motorcycles. It's just like, it's cosplay.
Yeah. You've been talking about motorcycle riders just doing cosplay.
It is. Motorcycle riding is fucking cosplay. Everyone is trying to like just dress up in this character.
Yeah. And
like they're doing the same thing, only they're picking just a
Muppet.
You know, they're picking like a more invented character, which is very like Dungeons and Dragons-y, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's fucking dorky. And like the thing about being a fucking total dork is there are enough dorks out there that they think that's cool. And that's totally fine, but you're still a fucking dork.
Yeah, well, the people that have been like sending me these photos of these dorks and like posting them on their like Instagram and being like, this looks like so much fun. I'm like, they don't even know that this is super dorky. Like they don't even understand that this is like so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like it is so embarrassing.
It's super cringy.
Yeah. I get no joy from that.
No, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what's just LARPing. That's all I can say. That's what it is. It's like you're pretending to be a monster on your motorcycle. So like dude, come on.
Cool, dude.
And like, I honestly think that is no different than fucking leather vest and chaps and like patches, dude. Like, come on, dude, really? Like, we know what you're going for. I can see the resemblance. I get it.
Yeah.
Great job. It's like, you know, in like Hollywood and shit like that, you have people like dressed up as like Spider-Man and like walking down the street like Terminator. It's like every biker is literally just that guy.
Yeah.
It's like kids should be running up wanting to take their photos with like, oh, you're a generic biker guy. I love it.
Yeah.
Like there are Halloween costumes that are like a biker. And they're pretty good.
They nail it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't they don't look at the Halloween costume and then look at their clothing and then be like, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
Have I been LARPing this whole time?
No, man. I'm unique.
Yeah. Like they're literally you know, again, LARPing some fucking 1960s moto like fantasy. That's all it is.
It's brutal.
Fucking sucks.
I was talking to someone at work this week and they were like, wait, did you just say like you think about dying a lot?
Yeah. So this is my segue. I'm doing a terrible job at segueing. But like, well, this is what like we kind of did a bit of research on, or I did a bit of research on.
Yeah, I was trying to ask you the question as if you just knew the answer.
Yeah, I just know these things clearly. So let me look at my chart here that I just happen to have lying around.
I will say it is invigorating when you happen to be like stopped at like a light or something like that. You're just stopped and you're not prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And those little leather tassels like graze your thigh and you don't expect it.
Ooh.
It's actually pretty hot. Free turn-ons from the motorcycle. That's the cheapest turn-on there ever was.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the vibrations. But anyway.
Like, was that a motorcycle noise or was that her?
I'm just like sitting there like, at the like red light.
So,
yeah,
like,
everyone else is sitting there like, vroom, vroom,
everyone else
vroom.
is like starfishing with two legs down going, vroom, vroom, vroom. You're just like, oh. Get the screwdriver out and start listening to those.
Well, okay, hang on then. So like back to the vortex.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a windshield and you do not right now.
Mm-hmm.
So why, if the argument from before was that I'm actually existing in like a louder space with my helmet and windshield combo, why is your comms setting off and being louder in my brain on my end?
I don't fucking know.